Hey, um, this is a very difficult video to make. Um, so as of June 8th, unfortunately, my dog has passed away. Obviously, I'm rather upset. I love that dog. Known him for 11 years, but and he was family. But I wanted to kind of go over some of the things that really jumped out to me. He had a good life. He had a good life. I mean, there were a lot of problems, don't get me wrong. God, like to start off with, so I remember we first got him when we moved in 2009, and the neighbors gave us the dog, and they were like, "Hey, free dog!" So we took him in because I wanted a dog. It was really good timing because I wanted the dog. I wanted a dog anyways. Like before we even came to South Carolina, I wanted a dog anyways. And they were like, "Hey, free dog!" So I'm like, "Yes, please." Uh, and I remember, oh man, he was just the cutest thing. God, I fell in love with him instantly, and he was so adorable. He had two floppy ears. He eventually grew to have one floppy ear and one straight ear, which I think is very unique and cool. Um, and then eventually he got diagnosed with parvo at a very young age. And we were like, oh, he's not going to make it. Spoiler alert, he did end up making it, but obviously. But his mom did die from parvo, and a couple of years later, his brothers and all of his siblings also died from parvo. So it's actually a miracle he was alive for as long as he was, to be honest. I mean, he really, God, there were so many things against him. When he was like 8 years old, or yeah, 8 years old, 9 years old, a couple of years ago, he was having some issues with like celluloid or something like that. I don't remember what it was. It was like some kind of gel layer thing where they were like, we need to get surgery, but it's going to be like, I don't know, thousands of dollars. And I was like, we're not going to pay for this surgery. Are you kidding me? We're not going to pay for the surgery. I love the dog, don't get me wrong, but that's just, we don't have that kind of money. Um, and my mom was like, we're going to stick to it. We're going to give him the medication every day. Luckily, he didn't need the surgery, but my mom was sticking to it, giving him the medication every day, and feeding him and all feeding him, all that stuff. Right? We took care of him, and we made sure that he was taken care of. Everything was good. Um, for the longest time, that was pretty much the go-to. Obviously, recently he uh wasn't faring too well. But I'll get to that in a little bit. Probably one of I have a lot of distinct memories of the dog, but two of them stick out to me. One of them was when he almost got ran over by a car. That was the closest he ever came to death. Obviously, whenever he had parvo, I would say that was when he was very, very close to death as well. But man, he was chasing a car. Or sorry, he loves to chase, or he loved to chase after trailers at the back of trucks for some reason. I don't even understand why. But he would just love to chase them regardless. And I remember one time I was walking him, and he got out of the collar because I had a collar around him. And he got out of the collar and started chasing a truck. And he almost got run over by it. Like he missed by maybe 2 or 3 centimeters. And that definitely would have been the end of him. And God, I was crying and freaking out and everything because I'm like, my dog almost just died right then and there, and he was like 4 at the time. Yeah, but and then I remember, I remember going over to my I remember walking the dog, and I would go to like the bus stop and hang out with the kids, like the younger kids. When I was in middle school, I would still, because the middle schoolers got out first, and then it was the elementary schoolers, and then the high schoolers got out last. And when I was in middle school, I still had some friends in elementary school, um, and I would have my dog, and we would go to the bus stop, and we would let the kids play with with the dog, and have fun with him. It was adorable. It was absolutely adorable. Um, and They loved the dog because he was such a sweetheart. He was such a sweetheart. He was such a sweetheart. He was kind to everyone, friendly, wagging his tail every time he saw anybody, you know. And then I remember another incident where uh, I was walking the dog, and another dog. I saw the dog from a mile away. Well, not a mile away. It was like a couple of meters away. But I saw dogs chasing after my dog, or not chasing after. I was standing still with my dog, and there was a couple of other dogs that were like trying to get to my dog because they were like, I want to sniff this dog and I want to smell this dog. But that was on the other side of the street, and the owner was like chasing after him, or her. I don't know if it was a female or male dog. Um, but they were obviously the owner was like, I gotta get my dog because she's gonna cross the street. And in that moment of panic, I just kind of sat there because I didn't want to cross the road because I saw a truck coming. And I knew that there was a truck that was going to be coming, and there wasn't really too much I can do. Looking back at it, I could have ran across the street, but it would have. I mean, yeah, I mean, look at me, look at it from my position. You think that in a moment of panic that I'm gonna run my dog across the street in front of a truck that I know is there? No, I mean, I'm just gonna sit there and make sure that my dog is safe because I have him on the leash. If the other dog isn't on the leash, that's not my fault. If yeah, I'm just saying. And the dog did get hit by the truck, and it was a very visceral moment. I saw the dog, and I was like, "Oh my god, I just watched a dog get hit by a truck." It was a little bit traumatizing, honestly. Um, but the dog did end up surviving for a couple more months. It just had some issues. It had to get like some surgeries or whatever. But the dog ended up surviving for a couple more months and then died. Uh, but yeah, that was upsetting to watch. Another interesting situation that happened was when I was walking my dog. There was another case where the there was a I was just walking the dog and I heard like a pop, like a or it was like a loud pop, and I remember I just didn't think anything of it. I'm like, what the hell happened? And I start walking closer and I heard another pop. And I'm like, I didn't know what that was at the time. Um, and then I start walking around, and eventually I see like a woman with the car door open, and I saw the like all of the stuff like was out in the thing, and the door was wide open, and she was like talking on her phone and whatnot, and I was like, no, what the hell happened? And I was leaving to go to the park at that time. I just continued to walk. When I came back though, I saw in front of that house there was a number of police cars, and I saw policemen going into the house and like with their guns drawn, and they like walked into the house, ran into the house. I saw the ambulance was there. Um, yeah, it was ridiculous. And then I didn't understand what was going on at the time, but I eventually found out uh, that apparently there was a murder suicide at that house. Somebody killed a woman and then killed himself. That was a very crazy experience for me. Um, and I just remember like I just didn't understand it at the time, but I didn't know it at the time, but when I heard that pop, that was people dying, and it's crazy. I didn't know that. I mean, it wasn't just people; it was one of my neighbors. I didn't know them very well, but they were in the neighborhood, and I saw them before, just a couple of times. But yeah, oh boy, and walking the dog was just such a pain. I hated walking the dog. I'm gonna be real. I'm okay like walking for exercise. I hate walking the dog and having to stop and let him sniff the stuff and pee on the fire hydrants and whatnot. It was just annoying. And picking up the poop after him, just aggravating. And also there'd just be times where he's just barking for no reason. He wakes me up with his sleep because he's like barking for apparently no reason, and I'm just like, why are you barking, dog? There's no reason to bark. There's nothing there, man. Oh, and it was so annoying trying to get like in and out of the house because I had to like have the dog on the leash. I didn't want the dog to run away because then we would lose him. So I had to like force him back, and I'd, even when I came home today, I subconsciously was like putting my feet in front of the door as to block the dog because usually the dog tries to get out if we open the door. And obviously then I remembered, oh yeah, right, yeah, that's the thing. Um, but yeah, he had diabetes. He was really skinny. And we really couldn't afford the treatment. And realistically, I was like, I can't believe this dog survived as long as he did. If it were up to me, honestly, we would have had the dog put down like a year and a half ago. I'm glad I didn't because I got a lot more enjoyment and love out of that dog, man. I There was a lot of times in just the last year and a half, there was a lot of times that I've been depressed and sad and crying and emotional, whether that be because of breakups in relationships or just stress from school, and I would go to the dog and he would cheer me up, always cheer me up, always made me feel better. Uh but obviously now this time around, uh it was too expensive. It was like 5 grand or something like that. And he wouldn't even be living a good life either. He was gonna have to get syringes, like he was gonna have to get shots of penicillin, I think. Maybe not penicillin, I don't know. It was something. And he was gonna have a bad pancreas, and we were gonna have to take him to the vet every week, and he was gonna have to get fluids. It was gonna be a whole mess. And I was like, no, we're not doing that, Mom. And Mom was like, no, we got to. He's still got a couple of years left in him. That's what she said last time. He got a couple of years left in him. But my dad was like, he put his foot down, and he's like, no, too expensive. We're not doing it. So my very very sad mother came to me and said, we're gonna get him euthanized. And we brought him to the room, and God, she was sobbing for like a solid hour. She was very 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 upset, and when they actually gave him the drug that put him to sleep, and the doctor or the vet felt his heartbeat, and he's like, he's gone, I'm sorry. My mom, she was like so sad, like the saddest I've ever seen her in my life. And that made me sad. She was crying really hard. And I was just sitting there like, it's okay, Mom. And she was hugging him and kissing him, and it was very hard to watch my mom in that whole thing. I was upset about the dog as well, but I was able to keep composure. But my mom, man, goddamn, I felt so bad for her, and I feel bad for her now. I mean, we literally just got home like 20 minutes ago. She was so upset. She was crying for who knows how long. Probably still crying now. I'm gonna miss that dog, man. But he lived a good life, and I'm happy that he she made the decision. She and my mom, she was like, I made the wrong decision, or I hope that God can forgive me, or I hope you can forgive me, or she was like trying to justify it, and I'm like, Mom, it's okay. You made the right decision. You did, I promise. And not only do I forgive you, I understand, and this is what needed to happen. This is what needed to happen. It's very sad, but this is the course of action that needs to be taken. Anyways, that's all. Bye.